Hello again and welcome to Creator Toolbox. My name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate, and I am really glad you're here because we've got our first returning guests to show us more about Mobile Card Builder. Let us do our introductions first then. Go ahead, David.
Hello, my name is David Murch. I'm a product manager on the mobile platform team here at ServiceNow. And my primary responsibility are our mobile builders, such as Mobile Card Builder, which we'll be covering today.
And Rayan.
Hi, my name is Rayan. I'm a UX designer here at ServiceNow, also for the mobile platform team, focusing on the designs for mobile app builder and mobile card builder.
Go ahead, Brad. You know the drill.
Hey everybody, my name is Brad Tilton and I am a developer advocate with the developer program here at ServiceNow.
Excellent. And we brought these two gentlemen in because they're the experts. We were going through, I've done a couple of developer meetups, and there's a couple of slides in there, a couple of features that still stick out in my mind. I go, we have to get back to that. We have to get back to that. And mobile card actions was one of them. Wasn't available earlier in early access, if I remember correct, David, but it is now. It is now, and we want to show that to you because it's built onto the mobile card builder, and now it's, well, we'll show you all the cool stuff and get started. So do we have any announcements, Brad, that you can think of that are coming up?
Ooh, we are coming up on Knowledge, so stay tuned for announcements around when you can register and see sessions and all of those things. So I think most of the people at ServiceNow that I know are gearing up for Knowledge in some form or fashion, whether it's creating sessions or editing. We're excited about this year. So yeah.
Yeah, we are shoveling hard because there is a big pile of stuff that needs to be moved. It is coming up quickly. I believe the registration is going to be opening soon. The catalog will be available. So watch for those emails, watch for those announcements. CreatorCon, lots of great stuff. We'll have a podcast on that on Breakpoint coming up in mid-April. We'll be dropping another Breakpoint tomorrow with Ashley Snyder. So lots of great content coming up. We had a Tech Now last week on the 23rd about App Engine Studio. So if you missed that, good stuff. That's where CreatorCon goes. That's where Creator Toolbox goes when Tech Now is on stage. So we miss a week every month for Tech Now. So let's get started. David, what have you got to share with us about the mobile card actions?
Well, as you mentioned, Chuck, we launched Mobile Card Builder with Quebec Early Access. And at that point, our main focus was to handle the new item view to mobile view change. So in platform prior to Quebec, all the card views on our mobile devices were managed with files called item views. We updated that to two sets of records called view configs and view templates to expand the capabilities of the cards and also to help with improving system performance and management of those card views. We got the basic functionality put in the first version of Mobile Card Builder, but we did not have the new card actions capability. And this is the ability to execute a function or a button directly from the card without having to go to a top menu or a swipe function or something along those lines. So today I wanted to show how those are configured and what they look like on the mobile device once they're set up.
Looks
so
good.
I'll go ahead and,
what do you say we jump right in?
So I'll bring up my screen share. Just want to make sure everyone can see my browser. And what we have here is just your standard ServiceNow instance landing page. Wanted to start with a little bit of a refresh as to how you get to Mobile Card Builder. It's available in our left-hand menu. So you can search for Mobile Card Builder if it's installed. And it'll be underneath the System Mobile menu. Also, you can access Mobile Card Builder from Mobile Studio. So when you're looking at an applet in Mobile Studio, there'll be a big old button that says customize your card view in Mobile Card Builder.
Nice.
I'm going to go straight into Mobile Card Builder today because there's some specific things I want to show. I'm also going to pull up my mobile so you can see the use cases that I'm doing today. What I've got here is an Apple launcher that has a card view of a list and then 3 icon views of lists. And these are all task lists just 3 different flavors of a task list. And I want to kind of go through the use case for not just the card actions, but mobile views in general, and how you can leverage templates to be more flexible and have more power on managing all of your cards. So all of these applets use the same card. It's this layout. Now, if I click into any of these lists, you're going to see the fields are all set up the same because they all reference the same base template, which means if I go and edit that template, I'm going to edit all of these all in one fell swoop. I don't need to worry about going to 3 different applets and 6 different item views to make the same change on every card. So I want to show you how we're going to do that to begin with. I'm going to find the template. Actually, I need to go to my template filter. I have these all using my DVM task list template. And I'm going to load that template into Mobile Card Builder. And you'll see that the general layout matches what we have on the card. And I'm going to make my changes here in the template level so that it applies to all of those applets all at one time. Now,
And just for clarification, David, if anybody missed this, we had an episode on this. I think it was our very first Creator Toolbox in early February, so less than a couple of months ago. If you want to go back and see more about the Mobile Card Builder, that'd be a great refresher. We're not going to cover everything there is to do about this templating and cards in the builder. We've got a more in-depth description there. So just wanted to give that quick refresher in case anybody missed it. There is a companion to this, and we'll put a link in the description, of course.
Very good. Thanks, Chuck. So what I want to do in our session today is show how to configure the new card actions that we have. And again, just to explain what that is, I want to add some buttons to this card so that you don't have to go into the list and swipe to get to your functions, or you don't have to go up to your top menu to get your functions. It puts them right here on the card, so I can just press that button right on the card. So for the use case that I have here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to update this. I've got 2 swipe functions here. I'd rather see those on the card rather than having to drill in and access them that way. So I'm going to take my template, and adding these actions to the template are exactly the same as adding any other element type. So again, we have containers, we have text elements, and we have image elements that we covered in that previous video. So now I'm going to show how to do the button elements. So I'm going to start by adding a couple more containers to my template just to be the house for those buttons. I'm going to add 2 containers here because I want these buttons to be in line with my priority text element here. And I want them right justified. So it's like this top row where I have 1 field left justified and 1 field right justified. So to do that in the template, I'm going to add 2 containers. And I'm going to do that, a little bit of a pro tip here, to create that justification and make it nice and clean and work across all devices. It helps if you put kind of 2 sets of containers together, a vertical and a horizontal container, both justified the same. And that makes sure you got the space, you get the spacing you're looking for. So I'm going to put the first container in. I'm going to set it to vertical. I'm going to right justify it. I'm going to add a second container, keep that one horizontal, and I'm going to right justify that as well. And this is where I'm going to put my button elements. So these are the new pieces. Again, just like the rest of the elements, you hit the plus button, and you'll see I've got this button option in our selection menu. So I'm going to select button. And once it's added to the stage, again, it's very similar to all the other elements. It's going to have its particular configuration properties on the right-hand side. You have display options such as height and width and corner radius, margins, things of that nature. We also have a border width option, which I'll show you how that works. And then you have the button function, the actual properties of the function you want to execute. You can set the button to be 3 different formats. We have label, which is what you see here, which is just a text label on the button. We have icon, which lets you select from a preset group of icons, and it would just show an icon on the device. Or you can choose label and icon, which would let you put in text and an icon. For this example, I'm going to stick with icon. And this is going to end up being an edit button. So I know there's an edit icon in here. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then we have two different types. We have single and multi, and I'll get into those a little bit after I kind of walk through the full configuration of a single button element.
David, do you have any tips on like the length of that label? I'm assuming it should be pretty short, like edit or user or call.
Yeah, the shorter the better, just because there's not a lot of room on these cards, but it does depend on the way you're configuring it. If I wanted to configure a button that took up the entire width of the card, kind of put that at the bottom and let it take up the entire width, obviously I would have more room for text there. But in this case, I'm going to try and put two buttons side by side and put them next to some fields. So that's going to be a pretty tight space. And that's why I'm going to go with just an icon for these, because that's kind of the most compact you can get with these options.
So put on your designer hat, everybody.
Mm-hmm. And then, and again, I'll remind everyone, we have the preview mode, which will give you a real quick idea of what this is going to look like on the device. Now, all devices are going to render differently depending on its iOS or Android, depending on the screen size and resolution of the device. So to get that final confirmation, you still want to go look at it on the device you're going to be using. But our preview mode is going to get you most of the way there, and you'll get a good feel for how the layout's working. So getting back to the button configuration, I've got my physical button now. I'm gonna play a little bit with this. I like rounded corners, so I'm gonna give it a corner radius of 10. And I know just from my own experience, I'm gonna want some margin around it, especially because I'm planning on putting one to the left of it eventually. So I'm gonna put some margin on the left-hand side. Now that gives you the actual physical properties of the button. I will also add a border width there because I want it to look like a button. And with that now, you'll see in the preview mode, I have my border width. That looks a little bit heavy, so I'm going to drop it down to 1. That 1 is 1 pixel. So now I've got kind of the physical layout of my button, but I need to know what this is going to do. So that's where we have our function picker. And this is going to give you a search list of all the functions that you have available to you. Again, it's always good to name things in a way that you're familiar with. I always put my initials at the beginning of them to make them easy to find. But now I can search for my edit button. I can assign it to the function. And then I've got other options here. I could change the background color of the button. We've added a color picker. I think I touched on that, or we touched on that in the last video. So if you wanted to set a background color, you could. I'm going to leave this without a background color for now, so I'll just clear that out. And for now, I've done the basic configuration of the button. So if I press save, and then I come back to my mobile device, we're going to see that button show up on the card. So you can see my icon there, and not only just that on the first one, but it should be showing up on all these other ones. So I've got to double check. Maybe I don't have all of the same
template
cards on these, or the same template. So I do need to double check my configuration there. But
and those are to go back to the function, those are the same functions you're using for your top menu, for your swipe actions, correct?
Correct. So
okay,
I
so we don't have to
selected
redefine. This is where functions actually come in really cool. And like you said, name them clearly. If you just name it edit, and you've got 5 edits, you're not going to know which one you're actually using. So having that label naming consistency, it's not even the label that's on the button, it's what it's called behind the scenes, lets you see that this is edit incident, edit user, edit. You come up with your own nomenclature and taxonomy, but it's really going to pay off here.
Yeah, we want to definitely keep those labels simple and then utilize color where it makes the most sense. But more importantly, just keep it simple.
Now, give me a for instance on the coloring.
So if we're talking about, let's say, approval or not decline, but let's say rejected. Yes. So approval could be just the color green because it's just something that's universal. It's usually the color for go if you want to relate it to like a stoplight. And then for discarding or dismissing or just rejecting, you would want to use the color red. So really trying to use whatever is known really internationally and just widely recognized is pretty much the best practice to go forward.
Do we have the ability, you mentioned rejection, and obviously these card actions are going to be right up front on the card, and you could accidentally hit them. Do we have some way to do a confirmation before somebody deletes a record or rejects an approval or something?
Yeah, that would be baked into the function itself, having that type of check. So the card actions themselves don't have any extra layers
Okay.
of confirmation, but you could build that into the base function you're consuming.
Makes sense, because if you had it as a swipe action to reject, it's going to have that same functionality. Gee,
Right.
that's probably why they're called functions.
Right. Exactly. And then just to drive home, Chuck, your original question there, the function that I've configured here, that I've chosen here, is the exact same edit function that is here. So I didn't have to define that function twice. I'm just consuming it in two different locations.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have this all configured, if I hit my little edit button there, now I go straight to that edit form that already existed. So again, that's the power of these card actions, is being able to draw this right up front. Let me get right into editing this particular card, not having to drill all the way into the record level and hit a top menu to get to it.
Well, you just saved your users 2 or 3 clicks, which is very important when you're dealing with a mobile experience. You want them to get in, do what they need to do, and get out. That's the happiest user. Don't flood the thing with 10,000 fields. Don't bury these things down deep. But if you can expose them, mobile card actions is really going to be a huge thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we do have a question around, can you add custom icons? So we added this icon from a library. Can we add stuff to that?
So that is possible in an advanced configuration if you go into Platform UI. It is not possible from Mobile Card Builder. That's going to be capabilities that we're looking at adding down the road, but we don't have it in this version right now. Today, there are, I think it's 38 preset icons or pre-built icons that come out of our standard icon set, and you can choose any of those. And you can edit the color of the icon by using the text color input. So if I change the text color here on this icon, let's make it blue. And if I save that, we're not showing the color changes in our preview mode yet. You see the border color, and if it was text, you would see it. And then if you refresh, again, that might not have been the best color to pick because it's a little tough to see there. Maybe we'll do this. Let's show some more of the power of what we can do. Let's make that icon bigger, right? Let's set the height and width. Let's not have it be auto set, right? So now, when we update that, that's my mistake. The icon itself doesn't grow. It's the button that the icon is sitting in. So again, if for some reason my text color or my border width isn't showing up on the device, let me try making that a little bit bigger. And then
You
we'll
make
see
buttons
here.
bigger for accessibility, right?
Exactly. So I'll have to look into this, like why the border isn't showing up here. There's something I think with my emulator, because I've not seen that problem before. The age old, I've not seen that before. But the border color you're seeing here and the thickness you're seeing here should be on the device. And you see how that button size grew. One way I know I can show you this, if we change that background color, and even though this is my product and I know it better than anybody else, I can still make mistakes. The reason that my border isn't showing up is because I have not set a border color, right? So simple little things like that. I'm going to set that border color now. When I save it, now you'll see it.
We've all done that.
Yeah. So now you got the border color,
go.
and you can see that physical size of the button. So that is the area that you can click on to execute your button.
I will say that's far less frustrating than tweaking CSS.
Yes. Yeah. Again, that's the best part of Mobile Card Builder, is you can do all this visually, and you know right away, hey, that doesn't look right. And I know what I just edited. So rather than having to go into CSS or JSON code and know all that stuff. So that is the basics of configuring a button for a single function. We do have the option of configuring a button as well for multiple functions. So I'd like to show that now. If we go back
These
into
are
our
cool.
button,
I love these.
so if we go back into our button configure, I'm going to make this a little smaller just to better fit. But now you notice we have these single or multi actions. And so I'm going to switch this over to multi. And what that does is it allows me to configure multiple functions underneath this button, and then they would execute from an action drawer similar to what we have for quick actions. So I'm going to select multi, and then you see this option for add menu item. I still have the same format, icon, label, or both. I can still select my icon. But when it comes to the actual functions we can execute, now we have a second layer, a second menu of options. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select that same edit task. I'm going to give it a label that says edit. And I'm going to, just for redundancy's sake, I'm going to select that same edit icon.
Now, consistency is good. If edit associates with a pencil, do that everywhere.
Right. So, but I want to do more than edit when I hit that button. I want to have some other options. So I'm going to add a second menu item, and I'm going to use my escalate task one here. This is set to basically just set the task to critical if I want to. So I'm going to give it a label of escalate, and let's go with a megaphone for that one, because generally it's a loud thing when you have to do that. So now I've got these two functions. And if I save that and come back to the mobile device, and again, I made it smaller, that's why it shrank. When I hit this button now, I get this action drawer that lets me choose from the two functions. So if I do want to escalate that, I can hit the escalate button, or again, I could hit that edit button and I'm right back to that same location.
Nice.
If I want to change the order that these show up in, I can come back into my configuration here, and these elements can be drag and drop to change the order. So if I drag escalate to the top and save, that's going to reset my order, refresh, and now you see escalate on top. So those are the basic configurations for the buttons. I'll just run through them again real quick. You've got your size of the physical button on the screen, height, width, corner radius, margins to give padding, things of that nature. You have the appearance of the button on the card. So if it's label or icon or both. And then the colors are down at the bottom. And then if it's single or multi. I want to switch this guy back to a single button, because I'm going to also show how these can be overridden at the view config, the card level. So I'm just going to get this back to my edit and save that. And then I do want to show that override capability at the card level. I guess before that, do we have any other questions that have come in before I move on?
No,
No other questions, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the multi-action thing there is really cool. What's interesting about it is that in general, that's not an easy thing to do in the platform. Like if you're in the platform UI, you're probably going to end up having to make a modal if you want to be able to click on something and have something pop up. So the ease with which you could show multiple options there was pretty neat.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be one of the stronger features here. So what I want to do is I'm going to add a second button, because I want to show how both of these work at the card level, and rather than having to pop back and forth to the template, I just want to kind of get a preset for us. So give me 1 second here to do that. And this one's just going to be super generic. I want to have this one be that single function, or actually I want to make this one the multi-function. I already have the single function. So again, we'll go with the edit there. Get our pencil. And then add that second one. I'm going to use close task for that one. And I don't know, I think star sounds good for a close task. Make sure we have a border color again this time. Don't want to make that same mistake twice. Save that, and then just real fast, make sure we're looking good here. now we have our two buttons side by side, because I'm going to use those in the next session. I'll check these. Again, I'm not, I do have a little bit of troubleshooting because I don't understand why only one of the buttons is showing up here. Might be, I think that is an emulator issue. But again, what I want to do now is, let's say, again, the power of the templates is those changes are applying across the board. But let's say for this one card, I want those button configurations to be different. So if I go back to Mobile Card Builder, and if I find the card, the view config for this, which is, it's my overdue tasks applet. So if I come in and I find my application and I search for my overdue tasks applet, I have the list view and the form view. So I'm going to open up the form view. I'm sorry, the list view, my mistake. And you'll see that those buttons are coming through from the template level. Those now are showing up on my view config because I'm referencing that template that we were just working on. And I can override how these work here. So if I don't want, for this particular card, if I don't want this to be the edit button, I can come in here, and because it's a single function on the template, I can modify that single function on the view config as well. For the multifunction, same thing. It's got that, pulls it through from the template. I can edit those two functions that I had on the multifunction. So I want to show how to do that. So for here, again, the format can't be changed. That comes through from the template. That lives at the template level. The sizing of the button can't be changed. That lives at the template level. It's baked into the template JSON itself. But I can change my icon. So if I want to change this over to that escalate function that I have, I'm going to choose my megaphone. If I want to make it bright red, which I shouldn't do that. I am red-green colorblind, so I can never actually use the color picker for bright red. I believe it is.
FF0000.
Thank you very much, Rayan. I put myself in
Knew we
these
brought him for
situations.
something.
Yeah.
RGB.
Yeah. So we're going to make that one red. And this is where the magic comes in, right? If I update my app now, so now I've got the bright red megaphone here on this card. But if I come back to this guy and my refresh is finally caught up, it's still the blue edit pencil. And not just the color of it, I can change the actual function that it goes to.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want that escalate, I can save that. So now, for example, if I pick this guy, it's high, but I want to escalate that. So I hit that button. I need to refresh. Got to refresh your app. Hit that button. And now on a refresh, we're critical. So we've executed that function right from the card, but back here on my regular tasks applet, that location, that function is still just the edit button. So that's where the power of the view config and the view template really come into play. I can have 3 different applets that all use the same, are based off the same template, and all look exactly the same. And if I make a change to one of them, then that change applies across the board, but I still have the ability to customize individual elements on individual cards if I want to. You can do that at the single function level and at the multifunction level. Again, I can come in, I can edit these. It's the same edit that we had back at the template level, just as applying it to this specific card. So that really covers the overview of card actions and how they're configured in Mobile Card Builder. That's really the presentation I've got today. I'm happy to answer any other questions that have come in.
I don't see any other questions, but I've got one. Just curious, what's on the roadmap for beyond Quebec? We won't hold you to any releases, but what's the vision that we've got for the Mobile Card Builder? Very powerful stuff.
Yeah. So there's a couple big rock features that we want to get in the not too distant future. One of them is, along with the card actions in Quebec, we released UI rules, which is a new feature that really replaces the old UI style capability where you could pick an element on a card and depending on conditions, right, you could change its color somehow. So for example, if you had the priority field, you could say, if priority is critical, make it a red background color. Or if if like due date is overdue, make that, put a border around that to draw attention to it. So that used to be done with UI styles, but that only works on the old item view record types. So for the new mobile view record types, we're replacing that functionality with UI rules. We want to bring that into Mobile Card Builder so that it is all configurable in this type of environment where you click on an element, make your visual configuration, and you're done. We also have on the roadmap, again, we're dealing with two different record paradigms here. We've got the old item views and the new mobile views. We want to build a tool in Mobile Card Builder which will allow you to convert those old item views into the new mobile views so that you don't have to do that manually. We'll let the system do it automatically, basically upgrade you to the new mobile view paradigm, and then start being able to take advantage of all of these new features like the card actions, because you can't do card actions on item views. The UI rules, which are going to end up being more powerful than UI styles, make it easier for users to get into those new record types and leverage their capabilities without having to manually copy over JSON and manually build template slots and view config elements and attributes and so on.
Rayan, anything to add?
I mean, nothing to add. I mean, this is just really just the fundamental building blocks of building cards in Mobile Card Builder. And, as David mentioned, there's just so much more that you're going to be able to do with this tool. And we're really excited to see where it's going to go later on this year.
We do have one more question from the chat. How many buttons can be added on a card? Is there any limit?
There is no limit. It's really just a matter of the physical space you're going to take up on the phone. So
you could make a card that's nothing but buttons.
You could. You really, and you know what? That would be a fun use case to explore. Yeah, the main consideration. Go ahead, Brett.
Sorry, I was just going to say I could see Ryan cringing for the designer in him.
Yeah, our design friends don't always like how creative the product folks can get. It's like, we could do this and we could do this, and they're like, yeah, that's not going to be the best user experience. So
we got to get Rayan a T-shirt that says, "With great power comes great responsibility."
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. With great power comes great responsibility here.
It was just hanging out there. All right, I think we're done with the screen share, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. That was very important information, and I look forward to using this going forward. I'm already starting to spin ideas in my head where we can apply mobile card actions to applications I've done in the past. Okay, it's time to finally give a mobile experience to this application that I couldn't or shouldn't have before, because it's a whole bunch of new capabilities have opened up to us in Quebec with the Mobile Card Builder, with the mobile card actions, just to make that experience so much better, so much more powerful. It's a lot like, I always equate something that's easy to understand and relatable to everybody is that Uber experience. Or when I get off the plane and I check a few things, my travel app has a button for Uber. Mm-hmm. It's like you can just jump right to that other app and start doing your thing. So think in terms of how to get somebody in and out of these applications quickly, right. Get their function done. The whole point of mobile is not to emulate the desktop experience. If you're trying to do that, you're doing it wrong and you need to rethink. It's get in. What did Josh used to call them? Micro moments, I think is the term he used to use. Micro experiences, something like that.
30 seconds or less. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be your goal when developing a mobile experience. And this is just going to add to that toolbox of what you can do for it. So unless there's anything else, gentlemen, thank you once again for being on here. I look forward to more of the toys that you've got to show us or tools. This is the Creator Toolbox.
That's right.
More of the tools. Thank you, Brad, for keeping the video going. Looks like we successfully pulled off another one without any technical glitches. And David and Rayan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
thanks,
having
guys.
us.
Thank you.
Play the outro music and wave goodbye and smile. Thanks, everybody.